You're watching South Asian Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Thursday, the 24th of April. PM Modi warns India will punish those responsible for Pahalgam attack. Pakistanis urge India to stop pointing fingers for Kashmir attack. And Russia warns against NATO's return to Afghanistan's geopolitical game. And now for all the details. In his first public appearance after the deadly attack in India's Pahalgam, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday vowed to pursue and punish the terrorists and their backers. The comments come after New Delhi announced a slew of measures against Pakistan for aiding cross-border terrorism in India's Jammu and Kashmir. We have a report.
2 days after the deadly attack on tourists in India's Jammu and Kashmir, in his first public appearance, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi vowed to pursue, track, and punish terrorists and their backers. Speaking at a government event in India's Bihar state, PM Modi said it was not just an attack on unarmed tourists, but an attack on India's soul. He added India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism, asserting that the terrorism and the culprits will not go unpunished. I say to the whole world, India will identify, track, and punish every terrorist and their backers, PM Modi said in a rare language detour to English in a domestic event.
Today, from the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track, and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished.
The Indian government on Thursday also convened an all-party meeting in New Delhi, informing about India's diplomatic response over the Pahalgam terror attack. Earlier on Wednesday evening, PM Modi also chaired a 2-hour-long meeting of Cabinet Committee on Security, where he was briefed by the Home Minister Amit Shah over the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. India later in the night announced a number of measures against Pakistan due to the cross-border involvement in the Kashmir attack. In the slew of measures announced, New Delhi downgraded the already weak diplomatic ties with Islamabad, declaring all defense advisors in the Pakistani mission in New Delhi persona non grata. India also pulled out its own defense advisors in Pakistan and will work to reduce staff size at its mission in Islamabad to 30 from 55. Along with that, New Delhi immediately suspended the 1960s Indus Waters Treaty, which regulates Indus River's water sharing and even withstood wars between the neighbors. Apart from this, New Delhi also closed the only open land border crossing point and immediately suspended the special SARC visas for Pakistani nationals, ordering the Pakistanis in India to leave within 48 hours.
The Cabinet Committee on Security met this evening under the chairmanship of the Honorable Prime Minister. The CCS was briefed in detail on the terrorist attack on 22nd April 2025 in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir, in which 25 Indians and 1 Nepali citizen were killed. A number of others sustained injuries. The CCS condemned the attack in the strongest terms and expressed its deepest condolences to the families of the victims and hoped for the early recovery of the injured. In the briefing to the CCS, the cross-border linkages of the terrorist attack were brought out. It was noted that this attack came in the wake of the successful holding of the elections in the Union Territory and its steady progress towards economic growth and development.
The Pahalgam attack is the deadliest on civilians since 2008, when 10 members of Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba terror outfit carried out shooting in several locations in India's financial capital, Mumbai. The attack in Pahalgam, which took lives of 26 tourists, including 2 military personnel on leave, was claimed by Lashkar's offshoot, the Resistance Front. India has said until Pakistan credibly and irrevocably abjures its support for cross-border terrorism, the slew of measures announced will remain in place.
India is in mourning as the nation bids a tearful farewell to the victims of the devastating Pahalgam terror attack. From the solemn military honours for Indian naval officer Lieutenant Vinay Narwal to the heart-wrenching loss of a Nepali national, India stands united in grief, honouring the memory of those lost in this senseless act of violence.
India bid a teary-eyed farewell as mortal remains of victims killed in Pahalgam terror attack arrived at their family residences. As per government data, Tuesday's attack killed at least 26 individuals, all men, at close range. Among the victims was 26-year-old Indian naval officer Lieutenant Vinay Narwal, a resident of Karnal who was on vacation with his wife of 6 days in the picturesque meadow. As per the wife's account, the naval officer was shot down by a terrorist after asserting his identity. He was cremated with full military honours in his hometown on Wednesday. A similar scene was witnessed in Surat after mortal remains of Shailesh Kalathia, a victim of the attack, arrived at his residence. Recounting the horror, Shailesh's wife and son, who were accompanying him during the incident, said they had barely spent 10 to 15 minutes at Pahalgam's scenic mini Switzerland when gunshots shattered the calm. The Kalathiyas had left from Mumbai on the 18th, spending a few days in Srinagar before heading to Pahalgam, a trip that was supposed to be a peaceful family vacation, but turned into a tragedy they could never have imagined.
5-10 मिनट हुए थे हम वहाँ पहुँचे ऊपर और बच्चे को भूख लगी थी तो कुछ नाश्ता वास्ता करने बैठे, इतने में फायरिंग की आवाज आई तो हमने सब तरफ देखा पर कुछ दिखा नहीं। तो हमने शॉप वाले से पूछा कि आवाज कैसी है, वो लोग भी डर गए कि मैडम पता नहीं, हमने भी आज पहली बार सुनी है। और इतनी देर में फिर से वापस वो फायरिंग की आवाज आई तो सबको लगा कि नहीं कुछ तो गलत है, तो सब अपनी जान बचा के इधर उधर छिपने के लिए भागे, पर कहीं छिपने की जगह थी ही नहीं क्योंकि पूरा तो बाउंड्री किया हुआ था, तो कहाँ कोई भागे कहाँ कोई छिपे। और इतने में सडनली वो हमारे सामने आके खड़ा हो गया। जो हम इस तरफ झुक के जहाँ पे थे हमारे सामने तो एक था, बाकी कहीं भी हर जगह सबको घेर लिया था उसने। हमारे सामने जो एक बंदा था उसने ये बोला हिंदू एक तरफ हो जाओ, मुसलमान एक तरफ हो जाओ। फिर उसने बोला कलाम, तो जो मुसलमान थे उसने बोला कि मुस्लिम, फिर उसने बोला कलाम, फिर मुस्लिम, फिर कलाम, फिर मुस्लिम। जो उनका होगा कुछ हमें तो वो पता नहीं था क्योंकि मेरी बाजू में जो लेडी थी वो मुस्लिम थी तो मैं सुन रही थी। जैसे ही आतंकवादी कलाम बोलता है ना तो जो मुसलमान होते हैं वो लोग बोलते हैं मुसलमान। तो वो उसने पूछा, हिंदू को एक तरफ किया और जो भी हिंदू भाई थे सबको शूट कर दिया।
A Nepali national identified as 27-year-old Sudeep Nupane was also among the victims. Sudeep, who had been vacationing with his mother, sister and brother-in-law, was singled out by the attackers. According to his grandfather, the terrorists asked Sudeep about his religion and then shot him dead. The family learned of the tragedy early Wednesday morning, plunging them into shock and sorrow. Nupane's mortal remains were expected to reach Nepal from India later in the day. The attack occurred during peak tourist season in Pahalgam, a scenic destination that has seen a surge in visitors since the abrogation of Article 370 in 2019. Tourists were seen returning from the region following the terror attack, with Indian Airlines operating extra flights and Indian Railways running a special train. The attack is subjected to affect the region's economy, which is largely dependent on tourism, and was returning to normalcy after COVID-19 and years of cross-border terrorism. The attack has attained wide condemnation, with the people of the Union Territory observing a shutterdown strike denouncing it, Omar Abdullah, the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, has lauded the efforts of locals and the unity displayed over the incident.
बहुत ही ज़्यादा शुक्रगुजार हूं कि उन्होंने किस तरह इस हमले के बाद बाहर आके इस हमले की मजम्मत की। कठुआ से लेके कुपवारा तक, पूरा चिनाब से लेके पीर पंचाल तक, शायद ही कोई ऐसा इलाका है जहां लोग अपनी मर्जी से बाहर नहीं आए और जहां लोगों ने बाहर आके इस हमले के खिलाफ एक ही आवाज में बात की और कहा कि ये हमारे लिए नहीं था, हम इसमें शामिल नहीं हैं।
Meanwhile, Pakistanis on Thursday criticized India's decision to downgrade diplomatic ties following the Pahalgam terror attack, calling the move rash and warning that aggressive posturing would only inflame regional tensions. Meanwhile, Pakistan PM Shehbaz Sharif summoned the National Security Committee meeting on Thursday to formulate response to India's measures after Islamabad called Pahalgam false flag operation. Earlier, Pakistan had denied any role in the attack.
देखिए, ये तो इंडिया का जो है वो कहते हैं कि पुराना चलन है कि जब भी उनके मुल्क में कोई बाहर से प्रेसिडेंट आता है, अभी जैसे अमेरिकन आया हुआ है वो प्रेसिडेंट, तो इनका टूरिस्ट पे अटैक हो गया है। देखिए, अब प्रॉपर इन्वेस्टिगेशन हुई नहीं है। जब तक इन्वेस्टिगेशन नहीं होगी आप कैसे उठ के किसी पे ब्लेम लगा सकते हैं? आप बैठे बातचीत करें, प्रॉपर इन्वेस्टिगेशन करें, उसके बाद आप कोई एक्शन लें। अब जैसे आप अटैक कर रहे हैं, अब आगे से हमारी भी तो आर्मी है, हम अटैक करेंगे तो जाहिर है ये खित्ते में कशीदा माहौल बनेगा।
Diplomatic ties between the two countries were weak even before the latest measures by India, which include suspension of river-sharing treaty. Pakistan had expelled India's envoy and has not posted its own ambassador in New Delhi after India revoked Kashmir's special status in 2019.
जो भी भारत में कुछ हुआ था कहते पाकिस्तान ने करवाया, जो भी उनके का दहशतगर्दी होती है पाकिस्तान पे इल्जाम लगा देता है। तो पाकिस्तान कोई इतना कमजोर नहीं है कि इल्जाम लगाने से कोई उनसे डर जाता है। जहाँ जो है ना वो हमारी सरहदें पाकिस्तान की मजबूत है। देखें, पाकिस्तान की अफवाज पाकिस्तान मजबूत है और उससे ज्यादा अवाम मजबूत है, मुत्तहद है। इस एक मुल्क के इशू पे पाकिस्तान की अवाम एक है।
Moving on. Russia has warned against NATO's potential return to Afghanistan, calling it a time bomb and a threat to regional stability. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov criticized Western engagement with the Taliban and condemned any move to re-establish NATO military facilities in the country. His remarks followed unconfirmed reports linking US President Donald Trump to a proposal for US control of Bagram Air Base to monitor China. Speaking in Samarkand, Lavrov also noted that Western nations via the UN were reviving diplomatic efforts in Doha. While Russia supports practical cooperation with the Taliban, it opposes any ideological or military interference. Lavrov emphasized that removing the Taliban from Russia's list of terrorist organizations would enable more effective engagement. Additionally, he announced an upcoming Russia-Central Asia summit in Dushanbe to boost regional cooperation and reaffirmed Russia's resistance to Western geopolitical influence in the region. Moving on. Bangladesh and the World Bank on Wednesday signed two financing agreements worth $850 million to strengthen the South Asian country's trade capacity, create jobs, and modernize its social protection system. The bulk of the funding, $650 million, will support the Bay Terminal Marine Infrastructure Development Project, an initiative to expand and modernize port facilities in the southeastern district of Chittagong. The project will include constructing a 3.7-mile climate-resilient breakwater and access channels, allowing the port to accommodate larger vessels. To remain on a sustainable growth path, Bangladesh must create quality jobs for its population, particularly for the nearly 2 million youth who enter the labour market every year, Gail Martin, the World Bank's director for Bangladesh, said in a statement. The remaining $200 million will go towards the strengthening social protection for improved resilience, inclusion and targeting project, which will deliver cash and livelihood services to 4.5 million vulnerable people. The project will establish a national registry to improve targeting and service delivery. It will also provide skills training, microcredit and entrepreneurship mentoring. The financing comes from the World Bank's International Development Association, which has committed more than $45 billion to Bangladesh since its independence in 1971. And the Sri Lankan cabinet has approved a draft bill to establish the Gambling Sports Regularization Authority, aiming to regulate the country's expanding gambling sector. Cleared by the Attorney General and pending publication in the Government Gazette, the proposed Gambling Sports Regularization Act would cover traditional casinos, online betting and offshore gambling. Local media reported that the new authority will serve as the sole national regulator, addressing long-standing calls for better oversight. Currently, online gambling largely escapes taxation and regulations, resulting in significant revenue loss. The authority will be empowered to issue licenses, monitor compliance and enforce penalties. Once enacted, the law is expected to bring greater transparency, accountability and revenue collection to Sri Lanka's gambling industry. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.